Hello and welcome to The Gaggle, where we challenge and, if necessary, destroy media narratives. I'm George Szamuely. With me today, of course, is co-founder of The Gaggle, Peter Lavelle, host also of RT's talk show Crosstalk. On Wednesday of this week, the House of Representatives impeached President Donald Trump for the second time. There were no hearings, no evidence presented, no witnesses, nothing. There was just a lot of hot air, a lot of heated rhetoric, but they went ahead and impeached him.
And George, most of them weren't there.
Exactly, exactly. Most of them weren't there. On Thursday, a very strange thing happened. A Utah man, John Sullivan, was charged with taking part in the riot on Capitol Hill of January the 6th. What was strange about John Sullivan is that he appears to be a Black Lives Matter activist. He has taken part in various Black Lives Matter riots during the summer. And he was here involved in what appeared to be Trump supporters, but are very actively and energetically encouraging certainly destruction of property and even urging the burning down of the building and so on. Now, the identity of Sullivan remains a mystery. On the one hand, he appears to have taken part in these Black Lives Matter riots. On the other hand, there was clearly suspicions among the Black Lives Matter people that he was an agent provocateur. And Max Blumenthal, who's generally fairly reliable, has written extensively about him. And if you go to his Twitter feed, he has some interesting observations about him. Blumenthal, one should say, is also apparently not really knowledgeable as to who exactly Sullivan is, whether he is Black Lives Matter, whether he's an agent provocateur, whether he's secretly working for the police. We don't know. Nonetheless, what we do know is that the charges against President Trump, that he instigated this riot, he urged this violent mob to sack the Capitol, that story falls apart. Because clearly this person was there, he didn't hear Trump's speech, he's clearly not by any means a Trump supporter, a MAGA follower. He was there to cause trouble, mayhem, and violence. So the House, which rushed forward with this impeachment, really has very little evidence to support its case. Okay, Peter, what's your take?
Well, it's interesting too, is the Sullivan character was interviewed on CNN, which I saw a snippet of it with, what's his name?
Anderson Cooper.
Anderson Cooper. And my first thought was that, CNN, they'll fact check anything related to Trump, but when it comes to anything else, they're so gullible, okay? And did you see how they framed the filming? He was sitting with a young woman. We don't know what, at least from what I saw, you don't know what kind of relationship he has with her. But what it was showing is a placid, calm, very forthcoming individual. And then I saw the other videos. The guy's got a pretty foul mouth. Okay, I mean, his vocabulary is quite limited. Yeah. Well, I want to say this because I felt a little slighted when we first talked about the attack on the Capitol, and I said that I wouldn't be surprised or something to the effect that if Antifa or Black Lives Matter was involved in it. And I got some pretty negative comments, and I'm not saying that this is the case. However, I'm not surprised that it may be pointing in that direction. All right. Now, also this rush to judgment, which is this is patently obvious. It's a rush to judgment, as you said. We've come into this terminology, snap impeachment. I mean, where did that come from? Okay, there's no such thing if you follow the letter of the law. So, I mean, rushing to get everything done. Obviously, what this is to destroy everything, not only destroy Trump and his family, but everything and everyone around him. Obviously, this is the objective here. Okay, and it's politics, fine, but and politics is a blood sport. And I very rarely feel sorry for people that are in politics. Okay, you want to go there? It's tough. It's mean. And it can have devastating effects. However, using this attack on the Capitol, which was awful and deadly, and people need to be held accountable. But if you're going to impeach on the basis of those events here, you have to be honest and clear what actually happened. And obviously, they didn't do that. Now, and another thing that I saw, George, is Congress people making claims that other members of Congress were in cahoots with these people here. And again, I'm paraphrasing because we live in a hypersensitive environment, but they're among us, I mean, this is amazing. It's everyone against everyone now. This is what this kind of rush to judgment does to people.
Well, it's worse than just rush to judgment. I mean, this is a lynch mob. Because what is a lynch mob? Well, a lynch mob just simply says, well, we don't have time for evidence because we know this person is guilty, so why waste everyone's time with presenting evidence and witnesses? Let's just get to the conviction and execution part already. And that's why when you say, they're making these assertions about their colleagues, shocking assertions, but in a way, this has now become normalized in American life. I mean, remember, we've had 4 years of Democrats claiming that President Trump is an agent of the Kremlin. Now, can you imagine anyone going around saying that the President of the United States is a traitor? He's working as an agent of a foreign power. I mean, it beggars belief. Even in the worst stages of McCarthyism, even McCarthy never actually said Truman or Eisenhower were working for the Kremlin. And yet this became normalized. No one thought that. Well, that's fine. Yeah, he's working for Putin. And so this is now the new normal. And that's why it was such a disgrace what happened on Wednesday with that impeachment, is that you don't even bother to go through the process of hearing the arguments, looking at the evidence. You already know what happened. Don't waste my time with facts. I know what happened.
Because of the time difference, you're in Budapest, I'm in Moscow, so we react to things in different time frames because of the hours difference. But so you and I were talking about the initial reaction to it, and we were trying to theorize what happened. We had very little information, and we're always very careful in making any kind of assertions. So the next day we made our podcast, it was white supremacists. I mean, it was then they changed it, and now that's been the whole thing. Apparently, if the picture is to be believed, is it one of the protesters, one of the rioters, maybe he was a rioter and not just a protester, had a Confederate flag. Okay, fine. But then there was a guy dressed up as Chewbacca. Okay, I mean, so where's the relative importance here? Okay, can we get some context, please? I mean, if they're all white supremacists, how do you know that? Exactly. How can you establish that fact?
That's exactly right. And then you get these people who came with gas masks. Now, where did they get that? I mean, is that part of they listened to Trump's speech, ran over to the Hill, and on the way, hey, let's go to the store and buy some gas masks because we're gonna storm the building. Made no sense. Not to mention the fact that they apparently find some IEDs in some cars outside the DNC headquarters, the RNC headquarters. Again, that somebody built some these explosive devices on the way to the Capitol. No, it makes no sense. And now we're also finding out that the FBI had warnings. They saw it on chat rooms that there would be some kind of disturbances on Capitol Hill. They didn't do anything about it. But again, it's clearly the story that this was all somehow, a mob whipped up by Trump's fervent rhetoric. That story is unraveling.
Yeah, but there's the rhetoric is not insinuatory. It's not. It's simply not. It's simply not. As a matter of fact, it was quite balanced. Okay. Now, I suppose for the left, calling someone a patriot is a dog whistle. Okay. Okay, that's how they interpret it. All right. But one of the interesting things over the last 24, 48 hours is if you look at what happened during the summer, and what did Nancy Pelosi say? People do things. Okay, people just do things. And Kamala Harris, her attitude that as long as there's as long as people feel that there's unrest in their lives, there'll be unrest. Of course, I'm paraphrasing all the time here. I don't have a script in front of me, but you can go through all of the things that and Jake Tapper and all these other people on cable. About this is not violence. I mean, this is people expressing their dissatisfaction and looking for relief. And then we get after the Capitol, and all of a sudden they're singing the praises of the police. They're real heroes, and all this after trying to defund them all across the country. Right. I mean, they can't seem to keep their focus on the script, because what is your script here? You guys flip. You flip on a dime. And I'm always against this kind of violence. Always. You know why? Because it can create unintended consequences, and political violence almost always, historically speaking, begets more political
violence. That's exactly right. I mean, violence is clearly not justified. Now, the situation in this case was that the events on Capitol Hill were murky to begin with. We saw different pieces of footage. We heard about the people were breaking in. On the other hand, we saw footage in which the police were just letting people into the Capitol building. This was the time to say, well, let's wait for a full investigation and then find out what exactly happened. But that really wasn't politically expedient. And that's why Pelosi and all her supporters saw that what's most expedient is to whip up hysteria about Trump, the white supremacists, the white nationalists, the racists, the anti-Semites. They're all coming for us. They've all got guns and they're all going to kill us. And this ridiculous hysteria, they've been peddling this now for a week. So this story with this Sullivan sort of it's hard to fit it into this absurd narrative, and they haven't been able to do it. I mean, it's like the most you can do is say, well, he's an agent provocateur. He seems to be just simply someone, a violent person for hire. Where if there's a riot going, include me in.
Yeah. I mean, what the interesting things about they're coming for us, okay? It isn't, but historically speaking, that's exactly what people that were in and associated with the Klan would say. The mongrels are coming, the blacks are coming, the Jews are coming, the Catholics are coming. I mean, it's so amazing how they adopt that paradigm, that discourse, that narrative. Okay, is that they're all under threat. Oh my God. Okay, and also the privilege of these people. How dare something happened here? Oh, the whole country burned during the summer, and then when it gets close to you, oh my goodness, somebody call the police, call 911. I mean, it shows the shallowness of these people, right, and the lack of the ability to think clearly.
No, that's exactly right. I remember there was at some point in the summer when you had those journalists also, defund the police. I'm down for that. And then there was some trouble, and Andrea Mitchell suddenly felt intimidated, and she was overheard saying, "Well, where's the police when you want it? Hey, I thought you wanted to defund the police, but the moment you feel slightly intimidated, hey, well, where's the police?"
I think that what so many of these people that are feel that they have the higher moral fortitude, they simply don't understand history. Is that let's take a look at what happened in Ukraine after the illegal government takeover in 2014. In the Donbass, it became chaos. I mean, all order collapsed. Okay, and it happens it can happen very, very quickly, and it is really terrifying because it is the laws of the jungle, basically brute power. Okay, and if you're armed, okay, people don't understand how fragile stability is. And they're playing with fire doing this. And again, to kind of go for a full circle, is that obviously there's this whole lynch mentality and procedure was to make sure, at least in my mind, that there weren't any kind of accountability about what happened, because they had a cudgel in their hand and let's not let it go to waste. Okay, well, let's go.
That's it, and that's why obviously the goal of impeachment, the primary goal was destroy Trump's reputation, make him toxic, ensure that he doesn't run again in 2024. That's the primary goal. But the secondary goal was to demoralize and demonize Trump supporters and the large percentage of the American population that really doesn't have any time for the Democrats, for the woke culture, for all of the things that Pelosi and AOC and Biden kind of been extolling over the past years. And that's the people they want to do. I mean, it goes back to Obama, that slip of the tongue, but in which he actually revealed what he thought. These people clinging to their guns and their Bibles. I mean, he was very revealing that that's how he thought, and that's how many think. That's how many in the media think. That's how Pelosi thinks. That's how AOC thinks. That's how Anderson Cooper, when he was making those sneering comments about Olive Gardens and Holiday Inns. So that's why it's useful to keep banging on about this, in order to demonize just these very people whom they're afraid, they don't understand, and they really despise and hate.
It's really interesting when the mask drops, how revealing that they can be. Anderson Cooper about Holiday Inns and all that. Well, Holiday Inns are a respectable place to stay. I mean, I don't know who invented the Holiday Inn, but it was supposed to be low to medium budget and absolutely immaculately clean. Okay, that's what people wanted. Everything's bolted to the ground in the walls. I mean, it's a really interesting idea. It's a place where you go to sleep. Okay, it's not it's not some five-star hotel. That's what it isn't intended to be, and people are comfortable there, and it's affordable. We are in a economic downturn, Anderson Cooper,
and nobody
just knows their snobbiness. Okay,
right. This is Gloria Vanderbilt's son. Now, if you're not Gloria Vanderbilt's son, then you have a limited budget, and so you're not going to book a room at the Ritz-Carlton. You're just not. I mean, you're going to try to find the cheapest accommodation available. For somebody to be so unself-aware to make these...
I mean, but my point is that there's nothing wrong with a Holiday Inn. Okay, nothing at all. It's in my childhood, that was always the destination of choice when we were traveling on vacation or moving to California. We liked going to Holiday Inn. And you know what I liked about it? At the end of the corridor, they had those ice machines. Loved those ice machines. Okay, but I mean, more seriously here, what's really interesting is that you're right. I mean, there was this original top tier goal to make Trump toxic, and they've succeeded to a great degree, at least as we're speaking right now. The second layer is that, and you hear this in the liberal media and the cable, is that Trump supporters have to, or people that even support supporters of Trump, they have to be deprogrammed, and this is becoming more and more common in their narrative, because there's something wrong with anyone that supports Trump. See, this is, I remember, what was her name, was a few years ago. She actually covered the Trump's campaign, Katie Kerr. Katie Kerr.
Katie Courage?
No, Kerr. She's an airhead on MSNBC. But I mean, I can remember.
Oh yeah, Kathy Tour. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, right. And it was after something, the walls are coming down story about Trump, which we heard for 4 years. I mean, there were so many of them, I can't remember the specific one right now. But, then a polling came out, and then Trump still has 86% support of the GOP. And she was on live television. She said, what is wrong with these people? She was almost to the point of crying. She doesn't understand. Well, I can tell you, Katie, is that you have a well-paying job. You're probably picked up from home, brought to work. You probably have really good health insurance. Okay, you probably, maybe, I don't know anything about your biography. Maybe there's money in your family. I mean, there's every reason in the world why you wouldn't know these people, because you never had any contact interact with them, okay? Because though this is a two-tier society, one for the managerial professional, privileged people, credentialed people, and then everybody else. And all those people, well, anyway, they service us, okay? I mean, at least that's their redeeming value, okay? And thank God I don't have to go to Walmart, because that's where they are, okay?
Right.
I mean, this is a parallel universe.
No, I think that's exactly right. And I think that's why they pounced on what happened on Capitol Hill, because now they say, hey, we told you that this is the sort of people they are. We said that they're clinging to their guns and their Bibles. Yeah, look what they did. They stormed into the building and threatened the lives of these precious senators and congressmen. So that's why the story, and I think it's going to start unraveling. There's going to be many other things that we're going to find out. Because even when we saw the footage, there were many people, active there who just didn't look like Trump supporters. They just didn't. We've seen the MAGA riot, we've seen the MAGA rallies, and they didn't look like the people who go to these MAGA rallies. So we're going to find all this out.
And George, I mean, I've mentioned it before, but I mean, again, this Chewbacca character wanting to be filmed, wanting to have his picture taken, and the one I find hilarious is the guy walking out with the podium is just thinking, like, this is the ultimate souvenir for my trip to the Capitol. Okay, I mean, again, someone that wasn't trying to hide, someone that was happy to probably have his picture on Instagram for people to see. And then you have these other people from the footage I have seen with masks and gloves in some cases, with the backpack, and they came prepared, and they were smashing things. I mean, the image that comes to my mind most is like of some kind of railing, and they were using it as a ramming rod to open up the door. Okay?
No, no question. They came prepared, which means that it wasn't Trump's words that. That's the crucial thing, because that's the gravamen of the impeachment charges.
But what's most important here, as we always stress here, is that from what you and I have learned over the last 24 hours, what we have just discussed over the last 20 minutes or so, that the narrative is changing. And wouldn't it be nice to know more information? Okay, what other people are there? What other people have been arrested? Will we see some more footage? Is there official footage from the Capitol?
Right. Well, and that's why it's
let's take it step by step.
Right. That's why it's very significant that when Sullivan, who was interviewed by Anderson Cooper, he wasn't asked the obvious question: what exactly were you doing in there? Why were you breaking in? Instead, he was treated as if he was just simply a journalist recording what was going on. No, I mean, he was right in the middle of all of this. How did he do this? And yet, it never occurred to Anderson Cooper to ask this obvious question. But again,
but that's exactly what these people do. The Sullivan character was on to support their narrative, that it was these people are there's something wrong with these people. They're all white supremacists. They're all Klans people, and that's what they want to keep reinforcing. And then when you take a different lens and look at the same story, you say, but that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Okay, I think we're pretty much. All
right, let's. Okay. And remember, if you like the gaggle, please like, share, and subscribe. See you soon. Bye.